Okay, good. So welcome everyone to the World Mental Health Day of 2025. We do this every year, as you can imagine, and you've probably been part of this in previous years. So this year we've coordinated between IASP, which is the International Association of Specialized Kinesiology, and Can Be Well, the Canadian Association of Bioenergetic Wellness. My name is Lee-Anne MacLeod, and I'm a member of the IASP Board of Directors and your host for today. I'd like to begin by acknowledging the Indigenous people of all the lands that we are from. While we meet on a virtual platform, let us take a moment to acknowledge the importance of the lands which we all call our home. We do this to reaffirm our commitment and responsibility in improving relationships between nations and to educate our own understanding of local Indigenous peoples and their cultures. I personally reside in the Noongar Aboriginal area of Western Australia. What about you? Would you like to pop in the chat line what area you're from? That would be really lovely as a connecting thing. So before we get into our wonderful presentations, which I'm very excited that we have for you today, please be sure to visit our website and ias.org and the canbewell.org website and their YouTube channel too. So check out each association's events and course listings, which are on the websites, as we are very universal. And if you think you would like to learn more or become a member, there's that opportunity for you. So you just need to go to the website. So we've also prepared a wonderful handbook with resources for each presentation and a bio for the presenters, as well as organization modalities, etc. So if you haven't already got that journal, it can be downloaded. There's download links that have been sent to everybody. And it's just let us know if you haven't got it. Now let us begin with introducing our speakers for today. I'll introduce each one now so that we can flow from activity to activity throughout our hour. I'll introduce them in order of the speaker. So our first one is Jacque Mooney. Do you want to just say hi, Jacque? Now, a special Jacque Mooney, she is Australian as well. Jacque, she is now. We claim her as Australian. She wasn't originally. So Jacque Mooney has taught internationally and created the Simply the Brain courses, now shared across the globe. With more than 3 decades of experience working with brains, bodies, and big emotions, Jacque has helped thousands of people uncover what's happening beneath the surface. A wonderful speaker, and I'm sure you'll enjoy her presentation on So-Hum meditation, a breath of calm in a busy world. Next, our second speaker is Heather Gibbons. Do you want to say a little hi? Wave. There's Heather. Hello, Heather. Australian as well, from South Australia. Heather is a Brain Gym instructor. She's also been the president of the Brain Gym Australia for a number of years. She's a consultant and educational kinesiologist. She has also come from a teaching background and working with special ed children. She's taught in South Australian primary schools for over 35 years and used Brain Gym in the classroom and on the sports fields for over 20 years. She first led Brain Gym in 1993, and that led her on a journey of lifetime learning about movement and its impact on the brain and the body system. We'll enjoy listening to Heather's Brain Gym Action Balance for a Positive Attitude. Now, our third speaker is Irene Iram, also Australian, actually West Australian. Irene doesn't tend to call herself a kinesiologist, but rather a light worker. She started practicing energy healing work in 1974. She studied kinesiology and has a professional membership with the Australian Kinesiology Association since 1996 and holds a diploma in kinesiology, like most of us do. She is currently serving on the Australian Kinesiology Association Board of Directors. Irene works now primarily as a flower essence therapist. She has developed her own range of 84 flower essences from West Australia's unique Indigenous flora, which she found to be her dominant range for clinical use, for over 80% priority for her clinical use. And that was developed through the adult suicide rate on farmers. So that was her inspiration there. And her presentation is flowers, nature, and mental health in the workplace. And I'm the third speaker, and Colin is going to introduce me.
So I'd like to introduce Lee-Anne MacLeod, and Lee-Anne's fascination and passion for kinesiology, brain gym, natural quantum healing, clinical work have led her to research and develop over 35 years. Wow. 3 kinesiology modalities she's now sharing with others around the world. How about that? Natural quantum healing, neuro-K specialized kinesiology training systems, and neuromuscular dynamic integrative health and neuromuscular dynamic integrative learning, in-depth educational natural therapy systems where we support how health affects learning and learning affects health. And Lee-Anne's presentation is ipsilateral movements, calm sensory overwhelming issues.
Thank you, Colin. I felt a bit awkward me introducing myself, so thank you. So we'll begin with just a little opening circle for the next 5 minutes. And this purpose is to just help us calm and integrate into being here. And so we have a more receptive mood, and helping us to begin regulating our stress, feeling centered, and receiving the wonderful tools as we ground and breathe better. Okay, so I'm welcoming again. As we gather today for the World Mental Health Day, let's take a few minutes to arrive fully, to be present, body, mind, and energy, so we can gain the most from our time together. Just wriggle a moment so you feel comfortable where you are. Few feet on the floor, just feeling comfortable, placing both feet on the floor, and rest your hands loosely in your lap for a moment. Allow your spine to lengthen gently like a thread drawing you upwards. Now take a slow breath in through your nose and release it out through your mouth with a quiet Now let's do that again, breathing in easily and exhaling any tensions from your day. Okay, our busy day. So it's really nice for us to arrive, because I know everybody's been busy. So now bring your attention to the points where your body connects to the chair and your feet to the floor. Imagine a steady column of support rising up beneath you. This is your anchor, your grounding. allowing yourself to sink into that and be held in your body in a relaxed way, so you're not stressed in your body. Again, as you breathe, notice your biofield, your energy field, your space just around your body. Imagine smoothing that field like brushing your hands through water, clearing any static or clutter. You can do it physically with your hands if you like a more kinesthetic feel, or just imagine it sweeping like a wave. With each breath, now let you settle into your balance. Finally, place one hand lightly over your heart. Sense the natural rhythm there. Breathing again. Let your mind come to sync with your heart. For today, for this period of time that we share together, give yourself permission to be present, open, and curious. When you're ready, gently release your hands and let's step into this circle of learning. Thank you so much to all of our wonderful presenters. As you've heard, everyone has approximately 25 to 35 years of experience. So there's a lot of wisdom and a real privilege we have to have these wonderful speakers. So we can share that. So, well, let's now, without taking any more time, hand over to our lovely Jacque Mooney. Jacque, with her wonderful presentation, Soham meditation, a breath of calm in a busy world. Thank you, Jacque.
Thank you, Lee-Anne. That was a lovely introduction and an opportunity to relax. Now I'm going to do there we are. I'm just checking that you can see the screen. Yeah?
Yeah, it looks great. Thank you. Well done.
All right. So I'm honored to be here to talk to you on behalf of I Ask and Can Be Well for the Mental Health Day. And this is particularly looking at in the workplace, but a lot of people work from home, so the workplace is going to extend to pretty much everywhere that we are. My talk is going to be on the Soham meditation, and I chose that because it's something that's very simple to do, and we can do that anywhere. And it's allowing you to have a breath of calm in a very busy world. And I know that I've been using it a few times this last week myself. So first of all, what is Soham? And it's a phrase that's composed of two Sanskrit words. So those are very ancient texts. And literally it means, so means that, and ham means I. So the translation of Soham is, I am that. And sometimes it's said as, I am that, I am. And it's extremely simple and also very effective. We're going to, it's looking at the idea of the fact that the universe exists within you as much as you exist in the universe. And the sign that we've got here is for Om, which is meant to be the sound of creation. So that's got a lot of power and energy. So the origins for Soham can be traced all the way back to ancient India. It was developed by sages who were trying to harness the power of the mind and connect with the divine. The mind is often what keeps us running around in circles like a monkey. And learning to bring it into balance and to control the mind is important. So it's looking at breath-linked meditation, aligning the mind, the body, and our energy. And it's used to quiet the mental chatter and restore balance. Some people, we talk about restoring balance. Some people find it very hard to even find balance in the first place, but this is with a bit of practice, this will go a long way towards bringing you back into balance. So the science behind Soham, it's not just sometimes people, when they think about meditation, they don't give it a lot of credibility, but there's a lot of science that talks about how doing meditation improves your brain, your body, your emotions. So pretty much affects us on all levels. And we use the word so on the inhale, and that's about expansion. So we're breathing in, so, and then on the exhale, we say hum, and that's releasing. Now, we don't have to say it out loud. You can say it out loud if you wish, but you can also say it to yourself, which makes it really handy when you're traveling or somewhere where there are other people. You can still use this as a powerful technique, and it helps to promote parasympathetic activation and vagus nerve tone. And that's bringing the parasympathetic. I always remember, I think of the sympathetic as stimulating and the parasympathetic as paralyzing, which it doesn't really do, but it does calm us down. And the vagus nerve affects pretty much everything in the body. So it helps to settle down our parasympathetic system, or activate our parasympathetic to calm our sympathetic system and tone our vagus nerve. It helps to create heart-brain coherence through rhythmic entrainment. And they've done a lot of, the Heart Mass Institute have done a lot of study with when people connect, they connect with their hearts, the heart energetic patterns, and also the brain. And so bringing this into coherence is really powerful. And it encourages presence, which reduces cortisol and tension. So when we're talking about presence, it's not what we unwrap at Christmas or on our birthday, but it's about being in the moment. And they say that stress is not necessarily about what happens to us in life. It's about how we respond or react to what happens to us in life. And if we're responding to what's going on in our world, then we're generally present. Because when we're present, we've got the front part of our brain working to help us look at the situation with all the knowledge that we've learned from the past, hopefully. If we are not present, which means generally we're in the future thinking about what might happen next, or in the past remembering, even on a subconscious level, what has happened in the past, then we're more likely to be reacting. So we're not present. And many of us, and I'll include myself in that, although I endeavor to be more present, spend a lot of time in the past or in the future. So then we're more likely to be reactive. And if you catch yourself the next time you feel short-tempered, or say things that you think, maybe I shouldn't have done that, have a look and see where your thoughts were before that happened, and while it was happening. And I can pretty much guarantee you that if you reacted, you're not in the present moment. If you responded with a more integrated brain, then you are more likely to have been present. So encouraging presence is the most powerful thing you can almost give anybody. I remember reading a book called The Precious Present, and it's all about presence. I mean, there's nothing more powerful than that as far as being able to live your life in a more serene manner, and who doesn't want a bit of that? So let's look at the protocol. The goal is to help you quickly reduce stress, enhance your focus, and promote a sense of calm through a short, mindful breathing exercise. And I want you to do, before we start, an initial assessment. So before we begin, I want you to take a quick personal check-in. And some of you might be feeling fairly relaxed because Lee-Anne started working with you with that before we even got to talk. So I'd like you to think of either a stress that you've had or something that's kind of percolating in the background, and just do a personal check-in. So what would your stress level be around that particular issue, or perhaps how you're feeling right now if you've got a lot going on? So on a scale of 1 to 10, like 1 is you're really calm and relaxed. I mean, if you calm down anymore, you could slip into a coma. And 10 is where you're quite stressed, and that's not a great place to be. So let's just think about that for a moment. And I'm going to do this myself. I'm going to write down the number that I feel is relevant right now for some of the things that are going on. So I'm giving myself a number. And if we're ready, let's look at the second. So I want you to scan through your body and notice any areas that you might feel some tension or discomfort. So what area isn't as relaxed as other areas? Are you holding stress in your shoulders, your neck, your posture? Are you a little bit slumped over? What's going on? And on a mental level, observe your thoughts. Do they feel scattered, heavy, or are they calm? Have you been running around like a headless chook during the day? Or for people who are not in Australia, chook is a chicken. Not a new breed of bird that I thought when I was in New Zealand when I first came over. So just observe. And you can also think about in your conversations when you've been talking to people, what are your thoughts? What are the words you're using? Have you been sick lately? Have you been overly busy? We tend to, in our conversation, start with, oh my goodness, I am so overwhelmed, or I am whatever, rather than, wow, the wind's blowing. Isn't that amazing watching all the leaves bounce around? Oops, they bounced on my car. Oh, well. So just observe what's going on in your mind and what's the pattern that you've been using. Now we're going to do a practice. Now, in this instance, we're only going to do it for a short practice because I would like you to have the experience of it. And then when you have your own time, you can do that for a little bit longer. So first of all, make sure that you are in a comfortable seated position. And then when you're ready, I'd like you to either close your eyes or just soften your gaze. You can close your eyes now because it's a place that's private, but if you happen to be driving your car, that's probably not a good pattern to do. You want to keep your eyes open. But by just softening your gaze, what you'll do is, and you soften your eyes, that will drop your shoulders, that will relax you all the way down to your hands and through your back. And take a moment just to observe your breath without trying to change it. So just watch what's going on with your breath. Hopefully you're all breathing in and out. So now I'd like you to inhale gently and silently say so. And when you exhale gently, silently say hum. Please keep your focus on your breath and the so-hum rhythm. We breathe in so, and exhale hum. While you watch your breathing, notice any tension in your body. When you inhale and so, take your breath in and wrap it around the area where you feel the tension. And then on your exhale, allow that tension to release with your breath. You find your mind wandering, just acknowledge any thoughts that arise without judgment, and gently return your attention to your breath and the sounds. So, so we're only going to do this for just a short period, but in your own practice, you can do this for as long as you want. 10 to 15 minutes is a great time. But right now, if you'd like to come back and see if you can reassess the stress level, think about what's been going on for you and reassess with a 0 to 10 and see if anything's changed. And go through your body, just scan through to see whether has the tension reduced or has it shifted? Does it feel different? And mentally, is your mind any clearer or more settled? I couldn't remember what my stress was that I was thinking about before. So how do we use this at work and at home? So at work, you can use it before a high pressure meeting, during breaks, or after stressful calls to reset your focus. And at home, you can practice this after work to transition into your personal time. So, or before bed is a great time to do it to encourage restful sleep and just release all the connections and ties that you've got to the events of the day. And when you're on the go, so if you're commuting, you're waiting in a queue to pay for something or do something, or when you're traveling, again, when you're traveling, if you're driving, keep those eyes open. Now, I find that when you're doing a practice like this, spending a little bit of time doing 10 to 15 minutes a day, when you're not hyper stressed, is a great way to start to introduce the practice so that your body starts to recognize that as soon as you take a breath in and say so, and then breathe out, it's already programmed and it knows what to do to bring you back into a state of calm. And you'll find that if you do this and exercise this yourself a little bit beforehand, then you're going to easily be able to reap the benefits of it when you need to do it quickly, like before you have to do a presentation, or when you're about to you would go to answer the phone and you know it's someone that's going to challenge you in some way, or you've got a big meeting. It's a fabulous tool to use, and it's so simple. So I'll leave you with that. And thank you so much for your time.
So our next speaker is Irene Oram. Thank you, Irene.
Thanks, Lee-Anne. So the subtitle for my talk is Vibrational Healing for Mental Wellbeing. And understanding that absolutely everything in creation has a vibrational frequency. So I feel I need to start with an acknowledgement that I do not hold any professional qualifications related to mental health or counselling. However, I also believe that we all have opportunities and skills which can be used to impact positively on the mental health of our fellow human beings. My first realisation of this potential was at age 15, when a friend of my then boyfriend admitted to me that he had tried to end his life with his father's rifle. He was known to me mostly because he worked with my mother and my brother, and I knew that he was regarded as a sullen, moody, troubled teen. This lad was the son of a very well-respected sporting personality in the town, but he had none of his father's social qualities and didn't relate very well to his parents. In a quiet corner, I talked to him about his attitude to those around him and life in general. In retrospect, I have to admit I was probably quite brutal. I told him he was the only one who could influence how he behaved and how others saw him. I suggested that he could start making changes at work by simply saying good morning to his fellow workers. I suggested that when those fellow workers had picked themselves up off the floor from the shock of his pleasantry, they would reply in a similar manner, and the day would be off to a very different start than the usual sullen silence or grunted greetings. I heard of him many years later, living happily with a wife and family in a location far from his troubled, sorry childhood memories. After learning about energetic healing and studying kinesiology for several years, I was made aware of a mature man in my district who had completed suicide without any apparent underlying issues to explain his actions. I then became aware of clusters of similar incidents in other rural areas. This led me to pose a question to the universe. Is there something in the environment which would work energetically to help those needing assistance? I left the question hanging until 3 months later, when I got the answer and was inspired to create a flower essence. I didn't know that particular flower or what flower, but then I was given the image of the flower. I hadn't seen it, but I had no doubt it would be somewhere in the area where I lived. It was a small yellow-brown pea flower, a densely covered shrub with very prickly leaves. The activity of creating this first flower essence expanded to 11 other flowers coming along for the journey. I had created a kit of 12 essences, which we called the spring equinox because that was the time of the year that it was being collected. And the theme of that kit was for reversing the isolation of depression, to reconnect self with divine love, and to bring out the awareness of love and support available to all. The pattern was set. Every time I was inspired to create another essence, I ended up with a kit of 12 along a similar theme. After creating 6 kits of Western Australia's unique flora from what is regarded as a diversity hotspot on one of the oldest land masses in the world, I was left pondering what was the 7th kit. I knew there would be one, but I just had to wait. In 2007, I started writing a kinesiology training program to teach others to use the essences, and that was when along came the 7th kit in the form of archetypes of all of the other kits. These 7 kits form a pathway to personal development and spiritual growth for those who undertake the full training program. The kits are not covered throughout the Healing Innately training in the order they were collected, but rather as building blocks to support participants to reflect on various issues they may feel a need to focus on, or aspects of themselves that they may not necessarily recognize or honor. And the thing I love about flower essences is that they are just such a gentle, subtle way of changing attitudes, emotions, and overcoming spiritual blockages. So health practitioners who use the essences in their sessions might choose to take their clients through a sequence of the kits as personal growth experience, if that suits their clients' needs. Alternatively, just a single essence or blend or combination of several essences can provide support for their clients during the session or between sessions. While essences are most often delivered under the tongue, there are many other ways of using them which are equally effective, and any therapist using flower essences, as with any other product, must do this within the scope of practice and qualifications. So just a little bit about flower essences in general as a vibrational medicine. The earliest modern creation of flower essences is through the work of Edward Bach, or Bach as he's sometimes called. He was a Harley Street physician in London during the 1920s and 30s. He explored the characteristics of common English flowers and attributed to them certain miasms, or conditions of the mind. As a physician, he was able to diagnose health conditions and treat them accordingly. Bach demonstrated the effectiveness of using the energies of nature as a basis for healing. He eventually gave up his London practice and dedicated himself solely to his work, creating his essences. And the best known of these, of course, is Rescue Remedy, which is known worldwide. Complementary therapists or counsellors, our training doesn't necessarily qualify us to diagnose or name conditions or to make claims in regards to curing health conditions. We usually refer to balancing the energy of our clients. This might seem like a limitation. However, I propose that it is actually a benefit. It's not uncommon to find that a client will show a positive response to an essence where the description bears absolutely no resemblance to what's being described as its use. This is because the body's responding to the frequency of the essence, not to the interpretation of the characteristics attributed to the flower during its creation. The vibrational frequency is almost certainly a more accurate basis for selecting the correct remedy, rather than any words in a manual or a scan chart. And the same goes for any vibrational therapy. While much of my talk has been directed at the more clinical application of nature, we should not neglect the more direct benefits of nature on our health and well-being. My nephew, as a toddler, would understand that he needed to commune with nature and ask his grandmother, "Gran, go car, go bush." My mother understood that they would both benefit from time spent in the bush in the nearby hills and found time to share it with him. I have a friend who had been a country lad all his life and found city living quite stressful. At times when things started to become overwhelming, he would come out to visit me in the country. He would usually remark that about halfway through the journey, as the highway wove its way through the forest and bushland. He would physically feel the tension just draining out of his shoulders and his whole body relaxing. The therapeutic effects of the visit would usually last a couple of weeks. A fellow kinesiologist and energy worker recently told me she had wonderful experiences in nature during a recent trip to Ireland. She usually lives fairly close to nature and found herself in a concrete jungle, unable to relax. Some time in nature was becoming essential. Taking a trip into the forest reserve, she found herself lying on leafy ground for about 20 minutes before she felt grounded and back to something resembling normal energy levels. While modern science uses a different language to the metaphysical community, there is general agreement that, put simplistically, everything is made up of atoms. Another term for the atom is energy. When we are experiencing changes in our individual energy frequency, we can be impacted by conditions ranging from depression to the manic. While, of course, much of my talk has focused on flower essence as a remedy to support mental health and well-being, let's take a few minutes to look at other aspects which may be included in the routine of our daily lives. Firstly, self-awareness. How do I feel? What words am I using? What messages are my actions demonstrating? These will all influence how much others want to be in my space, as well as my own energy. One quick change to make is to focus on the use of the words I love instead of what may be less than perfect. I've got a strong wind blowing out here. I could say, I hate that gale force wind. Instead, I could say, I love the music of the wind. Or, I hate a rainy day. Say, I love the sunshine. So focus on what you love rather than, and that changes the whole focus of what has been seen as negative. Secondly, hydration. Make sure you drink water. Not coffee, not soft drinks or alcohol, water. Thanks, Jackie. Water conducts energy, so it's only logical that as energy bodies, we benefit from consuming water to replenish our energy. 3, reduce sugar where possible. Sugar induces a rapid high, but spikes quickly, then drops our energy levels quickly. Eating more natural foods daily, especially the green leafy vegetables, does wonders for balancing our energy. Go for a walk. Not just eyes down watching your feet, actually take time to notice your surroundings. If you do this every day, you'll notice the little changes in nature. Noticing helps stop the mental chatter by focusing outside oneself. Step away from electronics for a period every day. It's number 5. If you need background noise, try music as an alternative. Be aware the impact the lyrics have on your energy and select a positive playlist. And 6, say thank you out loud as often as possible, whatever happens. If somebody tells you off about something, say, thank you for drawing my attention to that. It changes the whole atmosphere and can diffuse a situation. So let's wrap all of those activities in all of those points into one activity. Let's say I'm acting grumpy because the weather's cold, that wind's blowing out there, and I haven't been out of the house for days. What can I do to change my energy? Okay, so firstly, I can remind myself that spring's coming and I love to see the flowers coming out of bloom. And even by looking out of my kitchen window, those bluebells are flowering today. It's lovely. Secondly, I can prepare a flask of water. Thirdly, I can make a package of nuts or fruit or something as a natural snack. Fourth, I can go for a walk. Even if that wind's blowing, I can still go for a walk. I might not, I'm solid enough. I'm not going to get blown away. Walk out into nature and observe the changes of the season. I live quite close to a little sheltered cove, and it's interesting to see what happens down in that cove. It's lovely. I can use a playlist on my phone to listen to uplifting music as I walk. And I can absorb the energy of my surroundings and say thank you out loud. Thank you to my surroundings. Thank you to myself for making time to care for myself. the opportunity to breathe fresh air and observe so much outside me. If I believe in a higher power, then thank you so much in life, my life, and the opportunity to share nature and the energy available to me from all creation. So in summing up, I once again acknowledge the role of mental health professionals and the valuable role they play in our communities. But, and there's always a but, we all have a role to play in mental well-being too. Those of us that are kinesiologists, we work with the whole body using an extensive toolbox of techniques to assist our clients. While we may use remedies and products to assist our clients or support them between sessions, we also have the opportunity to empower our clients to help themselves, to exercise some control and make changes which will support their mental well-being. I reflect on that 15-year-old me giving advice to the surly 19-year-old boy to just say good morning to his workmates. And I realised that I was giving him the opportunity to change his attitude, to improve his mental well-being and change the direction of his life. I implore you to be aware of the opportunities such as these and try to keep your guidance to simple steps that anyone can take. Remember to talk in positive words. I love the sunny days rather than I hate the rain. Go for that walk. Drink that water instead of that second or third cup of coffee. Eat those healthy foods. Listen to music or sounds of nature as a break from electronic devices. And say thank you out loud as often as you can. These simple actions are equally valuable as vibrational healing to protect our mental well-being, and so simple as to be accessible for everyone. And remember, we all have opportunities to influence our own mental health and well-being. Thank you for listening.
And thank you, Irene. Wonderful again. Oh, just like Jacque, hasn't it been fantastic so far? All this wonderful skills and information. So huge gratitude so far to Jacque Mooney and Irene Oram. Very different perspectives and incredibly valuable. So our next speaker is Heather Gibbons with her balance for positive attitude from a different point of view again. Heather, thank you.
Hello, everybody. I'm going to share with you a brain gym action balance for a positive attitude. And brain gym is the first step of educational kinesiology. And in brain gym, we have a 5-step process. And the first process is to actually get you in pace for the day. It's sort of like 4 movements that get you ready for your day. And we have P for positive, A for action, C for clear, and E for energy. And E for energy is water. So if you have some water with you, just take a sip and just hold it in the mouth for a moment. And when you've held it in the mouth, just let it go down slowly and just notice whether it is going down centrally in the body. Hydration, very important, as we all know. The next movement is for clarity. And for clarity, we actually hold the K27s, so underneath the collarbone, and the other hand goes on the navel. And just notice whether these points under the collarbone are tender or whether they are just feeling fine today. And then we're just going to change hands. And once again, notice whether the points are feeling the same or whether they're feeling different. The next one is A for action. And for this, we do the cross crawl. You can do this seated, but I'm actually going to stand up and do that. So if you'd like to stand up and do that, please join me. Otherwise, if you're able to do it seated, that's fine. When you do the cross crawl, we're actually moving towards this central midline, which in Brain Gym is the communication midline, because 2 eyes team across it, 2 ears are listening, 2 hands are moving. And make sure you're just moving that shoulder into that point. Just do it slowly. If you can do it slowly and notice your balance on that one leg, that's just fine. So this is getting the 2 hemispheres working together. The 4th letter in PACE is P for positive, and for that we do a movement in Brain Gym called hookups. This can be done standing, seated, or lying down. I'm going to do it standing. So we cross the ankles, we cross the wrists and link the fingers. And once that's done, if you've got good shoulders and arms, you can bring that the hand space into the heart space. If not, just hang them down into the lap. Breathing in, and the tongue goes on the roof of the mouth. And as you breathe out, the tongue relaxes. All these movements can be done in the moment and take just a short time, or if you feel that you need more of one, you just do that. So whatever the body notices, you just listen and just do what you think you need to do for that day. So this is finding your pace, getting you ready for your day, getting you ready for perhaps a specific activity that's challenging. It's also really good for creating ideas. So if you've got writer's block or something like that, or you're meant to be doing something for a presentation and haven't got any ideas, hookups is calming. And therefore, when you are in a calm space, you're actually able to learn and think more clearly. The second part of this movement is fingers joined together and legs uncrossed. And once we've done that, we then can work on a specific goal that people would like to do. And the goal that I was thinking about and wrote about was, I'm nurturing myself and balancing my responsibilities in all aspects of my life. Because when we're working, we've got so many different hats that we are wearing, and we need to make sure that we're balanced in each state. So for a goal where you're nurturing yourself, you just might want to connect with a specific body part and just notice the feeling that's there. So for example, if I connect with the heart for nurturing myself, I'm just going to notice the feeling that's there behind that hand. And maybe there is a color or a size or a shape, a texture. Just be aware of what you notice. And Jackie was talking about her pre-assessment tools, and in the Brain Gym, we call them pre-activities. So just feeling that is part of that pre-activity area. But you can also do other things. You can actually draw your body and do that body scan through, and then just mark on the sheet so that you remember how you're feeling. So if you think about balancing your responsibilities, it's like you can have responsibilities in the workplace, and there may be even several different areas in the workplace that you're needing to attend to. And then there's home, and then there's the relaxation area of your life and any other aspects. So there are just so many different aspects that you can check. And you can also draw yourself a circle and say, rightio, the home space. How much home space am I giving myself, and how positive am I in that space? What's the workspace like? What about family time? So whatever is appropriate for the person, that can change so that it is specific to the needs of the client, or for you. We can also check the 3 dimensions of movement that we do in Brain Gym. And for that, I'm going to stand up again. So if I'm nurturing myself and balancing the responsibilities that I have, if I put my arms out to the side, and feel free to do the same and check what's happening for you, just notice if it feels even, or whether one side is heavier than the other. So for me today, the left side's heavier than the right side. And then if we look at the organizational department of our world, the up-down movement is really we use for that. So we're just moving up and moving down. And if you're seated, you can just do that really gently with micro movements in the chair. But I'm actually going to just stand, and because I do this often, I'm going up on my toes, going down, and just sitting in my pelvic area. So moving up, moving down slowly, just squatting gently, and just coming up and noticing the flow of that, whether it's wobbly or whether it's nice and even. And the other one that we check is that backward forward movement. It's to do with focus and comprehension. So we're just rocking backwards and forwards. And once again, if you're seated, you can do that seated. So the idea is just little micro movements, and notice whether your body wants to go more forward, whether it wants to go back, or whether it's just got a nice even balance around that central pivot. So then we come to a movement menu. We call it a learning menu in Brain Gym. And we use 3 different aspects that you can choose from. One is the hookups that we've done previously. The other one is positive points, which is basically the emotional stress release points from Touch for Health. And we also can use music. And sometimes we can have a combination of those. Sometimes you might need all 3. So if you're on your own and you feel as though you would like to do the hookups and the positive points, you can actually do that once again, standing or seated or lying down. And by crossing the wrists and doing the holding the points on the forehead, just looks like this. And then we're still breathing in, and the tongue comes up on the roof of the mouth. And as we breathe out, the tongue relaxes. Otherwise, you can do the hookup seated and have a friend do the positive points for you. So they can stand beside you and just hold those points. So if you're choosing any of those movements today, hookups just by themselves, hookups with positive points, and if I'm doing all three, I can choose my music. I can actually have some music on, or I can use my body as the music machine, and I can hum, or I can do whatever comes to mind. It might be an ah, it might be an oh. It can be anything. Everybody's unique, so people can choose their own sound. And once the learning menu is done, people then go back and just check out the post-activity. So that final checking of, okay, what has this movement process done to help me be more positive? So if I go back and check how balanced I am left and right, which is the communication dimension, it's like right now I can feel a difference in my arms, and that even. For me, look, going up and down before was okay, but you just check it again if you would like to. And if not, you don't have to, because it was fine at the beginning. And checking the focus dimension and just noticing how that feels compared with before. The other thing I did was to put the hand on the heart, because that was representing the nurturing myself. And just noticing the difference as to what that does. And in the end of a brain gym balance, which is balancing mind and body, we always go back to the goal and say, I am nurturing myself and balancing my responsibilities in all aspects of my life. And then if you had done that body scan, you can check that again too. And just notice whether the areas that were tense before are still there or not. And if you drew the circle to check out the different aspects of your life, like the family aspect, the home aspect, the relaxation aspect, the different aspects to do with work, all those can be checked again to see if they are feeling more comfortable, and whether they're perhaps even in a percentage where you would like them to be. Like, you don't want your whole work effort being the whole circle, which isn't really balancing yourself for a positive lifestyle. At the end of the balance, you can check out whether you need any home play. We don't have homework in Brain Gym, we have home play. And we just check out whether, do we need to do any of those things every day just to manage it? Do we need to do it for a day or a week? So the action balance for a positive attitude is really about honouring your well-being and having a positive attitude about almost anything. I used to use it in the classroom often when kids were niggling me, and I knew that I had to work with them in a positive way. all year, whatever each day brought. And I would just go home that evening and say, righto, think of that child and do the hookups and the positive points for that, just to help me be the captain of the ship and keep myself in balance. So that each step I did to help me also help those around me in my workplace and home life. So thank you for listening, and I hope that will help you in some way in the future.
Thank you, Heather. They're wonderful. So fabulous information again with such simple little movement techniques that can make a massive difference. And now last speaker, as I have something to share with you. I'm just getting my a PowerPoint up for the moment. Okay. Good. So can everyone see that? So using ipsilateral movement, which is one-sided movement, for calming our sensory system and from that feeling of being overwhelmed and overloaded. So just very simple movements again, which you can do in the workplace, certainly even sitting at the desk just quietly yourself or at any time other than driving. Although when you're at a traffic light stopped, I guess you can do that as well. Okay, so part of my work, and as we said earlier, I like the other presenters, been in practice for a very long time with all sorts of different therapies, natural therapies, and brain gym and kinesiology. And part of our study was studying the one brain, the right left brain function, and how that could be integrated. And also when we're thinking, overthinking, stressing, we can calm that or slow down that to a more rational, clearer space. And so I wanted to do some more research and found several pieces of research, but particularly this one, which is in Japan, which they were talking about the supplementary motor areas of the brain being affected by the one-sided hand-foot coordination. So then I began my research 15-year project, which I do with most of my work, with a slightly different perception. And this was about investigating how just periodic, just little bits. Heather talked about micro movements, so just very subtle movements of the limbs combined using functional magnetic imaging, which was the original research. They were able to prove this through MRI, which was great. And their conclusion was exactly that. So very similarly, my conclusion from my work was that it calmed down too. So I'm just going to share with you some very simple, those simple movements which you can do. So ipsilateral, one-sided movements, and contralateral, which we generally talk about as more integrated. So calming down the one-sided and then the contralateral. Heather did a lovely example with the cross crawl that's working in the contralateral movements. So let's have some fun. So they have a pre-test or a pre-activity. So very similar again to Jackie. So consolidating again what previous speakers have have said and shared with you. So think of a time, just take a breath first, when you were stressed or anxious. This could be in the workplace or it could be in your personal life, it doesn't matter. And just write that down, rate it on a scale of 0 to 10, the same scale as Jackie used, which is 0, as she said, almost in a coma, so relaxed, to 10, massively overwhelmed. Okay, and once you've done that, I want you to notice any tension or stress in your body, and particularly one side versus the other side. So just take a moment to just take a breath and just gently check your body. Is one side a little more tense or stressed than the other? And this often happens with emotional and mental stress, as it does with being very one-sided, like right to right-handed, right-footed, and forgetting about using our left hand, etc. So just make a quick note of that mental note or write it down. And we'll check this again after we're finished. So the movement pattern, the first one we'll do is a contralateral, which is considered more disruptive because we need the foundational ipsilateral underneath. So if we just do the contralateral, it can be more challenging. So this, I've added the additional complexity of using your eyes, because eyes are very significant with helping with our stress and helping actually balance our brains and nervous system. So with this, just imagine your hands. We'll put your hands up and I'll do this with you a little bit later. So as you move your hands to the right, I want you to track your eyes to the right. And then track them to the left, your eyes to the left and your hands to left. Now, as we're doing that, I want you, so this is a little practice. As you're moving your hands and your eyes to the right, I want you to move your feet in the opposite direction. So your hands and your eyes are to the right and your feet are in the opposite direction. And then see if you can change them over. Okay, so that's the disrupted pattern. So that's what we've just talked about. Eyes and hands, first of all, going the same direction to the right, feet going to the left, and then we'll swap it over. And then the coherent, which is everything going in the same direction. So our hands again go to the right, our eyes track to the right, and our feet are going to point to the right side as well. And so we come back to the center, and then we go to the other side. Feet to the left, hands to the left, and eyes to the left. So we do that. Okay. See how well we can actually do that. I think we'll find a lot of us that our eyes are jumping all over the place with either or both of those movements. So we're wanting to smooth that out. And that makes a big difference to how we take in information. And certainly if we're sitting at the computer working a fair bit of the day, our eyes need to be able to relax and make a big difference to the way we feel and our coherence. Okay, so I'm now going to move back and we'll do this movement together. Just have to adjust this a little bit. Take off my shoes. So the first movement, taking your hands and your eyes to the right and your feet to the left. So coming the other way, feet going the opposite direction to your hands and your eyes. Now you can as easily do this with your hands just on your lap. So your hands are going one way and your feet the other way. Fairly simple to do underneath the desk. So we'll do that for another 3 or 4 more times. Noticing how your eyes are tracking. Is it getting easier to do the movement? Are you holding your breath? So just take a breath. And for many of us, that could be quite challenging, but with practice, that can be easier. So let's now do the ipsilateral, the one-sided movement, and see how well that calms us down. So again, your hands and your feet and your eyes are going in the same direction. Notice naturally your breath. Are you breathing a little more easily? You can relax your hands on your knees and still do the movement with your eyes and feet. Now concentrating a little more on your breath. Now we'll slow it down. So we're not so rushed in our day. Everything becomes a little easier. Or just do it for another 3 or 4 more times. And stop and take a breath. Okay, so noticing how your body is feeling. So I'm coming back to the screen again. Notice how you're feeling. So our post-activity, as we did before, exactly the same thing as we did before. So think of a time when you were stressed and rate that from 0 to 10. Has that changed when you're just thinking about that stress time? Now take another breath and notice any tension or stress in your body, and in particular, one-sided. Does it still feel the same, or is there a bit of a difference? Noticing the difference between your pre-activity and your post-activity. Is there a difference? So if you would like to know more, you are free to speak to me or contact me as you are with the other speakers. So noticing there was a difference with all of the speakers, and seeing that there's a lot of things, special things that you can actually do to help yourself. I'd like to thank again our wonderful presenters, Jacque with our Soham meditation, a breath of calm in a busy world. So, and that lovely ancient wisdom that Irene Oram shared with us of her experience and how precious it is for us to be in nature and connecting in ourselves, and how valuable the vibration, working the vibration of flower essences is affecting our mental health. So flowers, nature, and mental health in the workplace. So thank you, Irene. And then Heather Gibbons, teaching us some very simple movements which help us discombobulate, really, using water and acupressure points and active movements like the cross crawl, and then calming us down with the hookups, and then the addition of the thoughts around her with her action balance or positive attitude. And then our last talk was myself about the ipsilateral movements which calm the sensory system and overwhelming issues. Sometimes we can get very overwhelmed and anxious, and just by doing simple coordinated movements, very quickly we can calm our nervous system down. So thank you very much, all of our wonderful presenters, Jacque Mooney, Irene Oram, Heather Gibbons, and thank you very much for your presentations. Now, I realise that some of you may need to go soon, so I want to do our closing circle first, and then we will open with a Q&A, and so you can stay online and have a lovely chat with each of our presenters so that you get your questions answered. But in case you need to go a little bit earlier, or also with your questions, if you don't have time to stay today, you can email us, and I'll get Colin to put those email addresses back in the chat line. So there's I Ask and Can Be Well, two really big special associations that are here to help us all, that have created this special World Mental Health Day around the world for us all. And so please make sure you get your questions answered. You might be too shy to talk online. That's okay. So our closing circle. So the purpose of this is to help us consolidate what we have learnt today. So different aspects, and some you may identify with differently, and others you may not. But there's plenty there for you to just take and help you self calm or energize. Maybe you're so tired every day. Ground yourself with these simple tools in the workplace. And this leads then to us being able to reflect better and harmonize our workday and our personal lives as well. So we breathe and we are clear to be creative and visualize what can be rather than just the stresses of our day. So as we close our eyes for our closing circle, let's just take a few minutes to integrate everything we've heard and practiced today. So I want you to sit comfortably again with your feet on the floor. Take a breath in and out. As you breathe, you may like to do the so, or any other type of breathing that we have done today, the relaxation, just for a moment. Just reflecting on your breathing. And then think back over the tools you've gathered today, whether it was from a new perspective or a practical tip or simply just a moment of insight. It's there especially for you to take away whatever you choose from that. You also have the wonderful journal, which gives you the details then of all the presentations, but from the 3 time zones, so all 12 in that. Okay. So thank you very much to our wonderful speakers. Thank you so much for all of you for coming and participating. And on behalf of IAS, the International Institute of Specialized Kinesiologists, and Can Be Well, the North American Energy Association, we want to thank you very much for coming and take on those wonderful gifts from today. So now it's time for our questions and answers. So do we have any questions and answers for any of the speakers? You can put it in the chat line if you wish, or just put up your hand and we'll go from there. So are there any, Colin, are there any questions from the chat line? Or
Not yet.
okay.
I may ask Jackie, so hum. Where did you find the so hum? Or where was?
It's something I've known and used for a very long time. I'm not even sure where I first learned about it. But when the World Mental Health Day came up, that it is something that I use with my own clients when I'm doing work with them, because one of the big focuses I have with my work is helping people become present so that they're able to deal with the challenges and opportunities, or turn the challenges into opportunities in their life. And yet it's hard to remember to be present all the time. So when they feel themselves moving out of their presence, Soham is a really fabulous and easy tool to come back in.
Thank you.
Thank you, Jackie. Any other questions for anybody?
Irene, have you been to Scotland? I've experienced Bach flower essences in Scotland, and there's a wellness community in Findhorn, and I think there was somebody from Australia who went over to Findhorn and actually established around Bach essence, a business around Bach essences there.
I know that they do manufacture flower essences at Findhorn. I am aware of it, but no, I haven't been there. If I had a bucket list, Colin, that would be on it.
Thank you, Irene. I had a question for you too, just very simply. How easy is it for us to make a flower essence for ourselves? Because we live in different parts of the world, and can you tell us very, very quickly, just is it possible?
Yes, it is. It's extremely easy. It's part of actually what I teach in the flower essence, the accredited training course, which is it's accredited in the Australian Kinesiology Association. And the first module that I teach is teaching you how to make flower essences. And one of the things that I find in using the flower essences is that if you are, like, I'm 5th generation Australian, so I really resonate with Australian essences, particularly the Western Australian ones, because that's where I was born. That's my energy. But somebody who is closer to their European heritage may find that the bark flowers will be better for them. Jackie, you may find Desert Alchemy or one of the North American ones, or somebody else, you know, there are different Asian ones, so there's a whole heap of them. So to actually take something from your own environment, which brings you joy, will help to lift your vibration when you're feeling low. And if it's something in your own garden, then that's fabulous too, because then you can have it all year round.
Oh, thank you. Thank you, Irene. I particularly love my 100-year-old roses, that beautiful scent.
Yeah.
That's
Yes.
just really lifts me. Yeah, it's joyful. Yeah, so that's flower essences.
Yeah, very easy. And they're much simpler to make than essential oils. Very simple to extract the energy rather than the process that you go through to make an essential oil.
Well, thank you so much. Any other questions?
Heather, just when you were actually at the end of a day and you were using your tools for the relationship that you had with your students, I just thought that was absolutely lovely. I hope you didn't have to do it for every student, or did you do it collectively? Can you do, is it possible to do things, use the tools for a collective, like for a group or for a meeting?
Yes. Yes. And I did it with individuals because on day one of term one, it's like, it's very obvious that there's one or two sometimes that are going to cause trouble. And life is not going to be comfortable every day, and that's not what I want. I want to set the plan of is for a really good year together, and you can do it not only for a teacher-student relationship, but also teacher the peers, and do it for staff meeting type things. Do it with leadership issues. You can use it for all sorts of things, and yes, you can use it for groups if the group is doing the same thing. Yeah. And I used it a lot with sports teams as well. I used to take away Sapsaza hockey boys, and you know, on the first meeting, it was like you had kids come from all sorts of schools, and it was like, oh, the put downs and everything. And it's like, okay, we need to really work on getting that mind-body system working with a positive attitude for themselves and others, so that all their self-esteem is arisen together, so that they can really be a really good team. All sorts of
wonderful. Yes, it's wonderful for also connecting and integrating a team. So the sports team, or workplace team, or even maybe a family. Yeah, bit out of sync. So thank you so much, Heather. Jackie's got a question. Yes.
Heather, I also agree with Colin. I loved the fact that you did that with these students, like the individual students, because when you're working with a group, it's easy to have other people say, oh, that's George, he's trouble, or look out for Ronald or Mary or whatever. And then they develop this history before you've even met them, and being able to bring it back to day one. I remember something that when I was doing some of my studying, it's about trying to see each person as if for the first time, and let go of all of the preconceived ideas from the past. And that's what you're doing.
That's right.
Love it.
And it's also about not getting caught in that normal trap of other people's perceptions, or even your own first perception, but to clear your own energy, because that's what you're doing. You're wanting to clear your energy and have a positive attitude towards that person. And attitude is so important.
Absolutely. Thank you.
Yes, thank you. So any other questions from anybody? So
Lee-Anne,
well
Lee-Anne,
done.
Lee-Anne,
Okay.
just
Yes.
last one. Do you, when you're moving through with the coordination with the feet, the eyes, and the hands, are there any bumps or sort of space? Do you find any comments from your clients? Are there any hops or spaces that the eyes might jump?
That's very common. In fact, it's very uncommon for that not to happen.
Yep.
And so that's why it's good to go through those two activities. And the more you do them, particularly when you can do the one-sided with the breath, slows you down, and then there's less disruption. So we relate that with the disruption in potentially behaviors or thought patterns or even stress patterns or trauma, that particularly the eyes will jump all over the place. So the most common action is to do tracking of the eyes, because we are reading all the time. So we're tracking this way, or certainly in the Western way, that we could take it to a different level of going vertically up and down and around in a clock as well, which are a little more complex, but it's all possible. So that's one of the things to notice. And so as you calm down, the eyes and the movement becomes smoother. So thank you.
You're welcome. Thank you very much. Thank you.
Good. So I'd like to again thank everybody on the behalf of Can Be Well, which is the Canadian Association of Bioenergetic Wellness, a very, very special association. If I encourage you to go to their website, so canbewell.org, and if that attracts you, you may like to join as a member, or look through some of their courses and lovely inspirational work and their blogs, just to catch up and to take yourself to a place where you can engage a little bit more, or you're wanting to know more. That lovely intuitive, oh, I like to learn, so maybe there's someone here or a course that I might like to enjoy doing. Similarly to the IAS, the International Association of Specialized Kinesiology, two different associations, and equally you may enjoy looking at that website and connecting again if you wish to be a member. You don't have to either. There's a lot of free information there, and also on the YouTube channels. So I'd like to thank you all again for coming, and thank you very much to our very special speakers who, in their wholeheartedness, have shared their expertise of years and years of learning. So we can have this little gem. So take care. I hope you're able to join in at least one other of the other two sessions. And stay well, stay happy, and take care. From myself, Lee-Anne MacLeod, I ask and Can Be Well. Thank you. Bye for now.
Bye. Thanks, Lee-Anne.
Bye.
Everyone.
Absolute pleasure. Bye.
Right.